All right, we definitely planned this look. I think we look sharp. Like, this is it. This is the look.
We called each other and color coordinated.
Hey, we're going to wear orange shirts today? Yeah, a little bit. I got to have the shirt from Homage. We appreciate them sending along this gear. Talking about Super Bowl 20.
It's very nice. And
So
the black hat.
And the black hat. Speaking of Super Bowl 20, the Bears were not bereft of big personalities on that 1985 squad. I would argue none bigger than Steve Mongo McMichael.
No.
We heard the news on NFL Honors. How do you feel about, we'll get to Devin Hester, obviously, but Steve Mongo McMichael, that one has been hitting me more and more as the days have been going on. I am so happy for him and his family.
Yeah, I mean, he deserved to get in a long time ago. I mean, you're talking about a dude that has like the third most sacks in defensive tackle history, in the history of the league.
The numbers are good.
Warren Sapp has less sacks than Steve Mongo McMichael. I mean, the idea that you're going to leave him off but put Warren Sapp in, come on, they're both deserving. So it's great that he's getting his due. It's even better that it's happening while he's still around.
Yeah.
You know, he's fighting a tough fight, and we've all kind of seen that, go down here the last couple of years, so I know how much it means for him and his family.
I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think it's very real. That part of the reason that's fueling his fight was for this moment, like to be there. And I can't imagine what that's like for him. And it's just the outpouring. I know Spice Adams was here talking about it yesterday, like how much he meant to people. And not only like, and it's kind of weird, I hate bringing this up, but like I'm a wrestling fan too. So I always loved him as a member of the Four Horsemen. Like, he was a bigger than life guy just outside of football too.
Yep, WCW. I mean, when you talk about the WCW, WWF wars in the 90s, he was right in the middle of that. Dennis Rodman's on WCW. And so it definitely integrated with Chicago sports. And Mongo is right at the center of that. That was a lot of fun in my childhood, following Michael Jordan and the Bulls, the Bears, and then you got all this wrestling stuff that's connected with the teams that I love. So, yeah, it's great to see. Like you said, his personality, he's one of those guys where his personality pushed past the sporting spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I would say he's a two-time Hall of Famer because the Four Horsemen are in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So I think that you can now say he's a two-time multiple Hall of Famer.
Yep.
That was well-deserved. But, of course, the biggest one that we've been talking about, I mean, even landing here on Monday, or you guys were here on Monday, I came in on Tuesday, the buzz has been about Devin Hester because this seemed to be a very volatile decision for a lot of people, where it was a lot of variance, where you were either strongly in the camp of Devin Hester or people like, no way should a special teamer guy get in there.
What a stupid thought.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
What a stupid thought. I mean, to me, I thought it was disrespectful. He wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. I know there's a lot of players that would disagree with that. Urlacher and me have pushed back on each other on that. And Urlacher, I think, thinks he belongs in there. He said that, but he pushed back on the idea that he was, the level of a first ballot. And I don't know, for me, when you revolutionize the game, there's very few that can say they've done that. I don't care what position it is. It's a position on a team in the league. Every position, long snappers should have a spot in the Hall.
Why not?
Every position.
Put David Binn in the Hall of Fame.
There's only like 3 or 4 centers in Kent on the offensive
Mike
line.
Webster.
Right. So, like,
he's the only one I can think of.
Right. So
with Chuck Bednarik.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, why are we picking and choosing? Like, if you're the best at your position, the greatest of all time, when you're Devin Hester, they call him the GOAT.
Like legitimate, like is the GOAT.
Right. There's only so many players that get that term attached to their name, and Devin is one of them. And so, to me, to not have him in his first ballot, I thought was a missed opportunity. Don't overthink it. The guy's in the Hall of Fame. Put him in. Don't make him go through this charade in the process. I understand it's kind of
voters love that.
Yeah, it's weird.
They love to just exercise their authority because Antonio Gates is not in tonight. And I don't want to veer too much into that one, but that's another one that shocked me. Like, what? Right. Antonio Gates is not a Hall of Famer. Like, okay, Patrick Willis, who got in tonight, deserved it years ago.
Yep.
Like a five-time first-team All-Pro, a one-time second-team All-Pro, 6 All-Pro selections. He played 8 years. Like, what more do you want?
Right.
And like Devin Hester was the same way. And I know that you probably got a sense of this too. when you talk to players, especially ones that grew up in the 2000s, late 90s, they love Devin Hester.
Love him. Guys that played against him, guys that grew up watching him. Everyone has the ultimate respect for this dude because they understood how rare he was to this league. You don't tell the story of the NFL without Devin Hester. If they made a 1-minute montage video of the NFL in the history of this league, you know what the first clip out the gate.
I think it would show that Devin Hester returned to the
right, because you'd start with a kickoff, right? And then you'd end it with a game-winning touchdown. But the opening kick would be the Devin Hester kickoff in the Super Bowl. So, that's history. It will never be duplicated what he did. 6 touchdowns his first year, not including the Super Bowl, so 7 if you include that. Then he had another 6 his second year in the league, where he matches a guy like Brian Mitchell, who also belongs in the Hall of Fame for what he did as a returner. He matched Brian Mitchell's return records that took him 13 years to accumulate, and he did it in 2 years.
Yeah.
I made the comparison that it's a little like Wayne Gretzky when you talk about the way he shattered the records out the gates. He's not Wayne Gretzky. Okay, he's not Michael Jordan, but the way he just demolished records that have been standing for 20 years, and it took a whole career for these guys to accumulate, and he does it in 2 years. It'll never be done again.
Yeah, and guys were fearful of kicking it. Spice Adams told the story yesterday about they would rather kick the ball out of bounds and give it to us on the 40 than kick it to Devin Hester.
That's what I'm saying. And those are lost yards that are lost in the history of time. He doesn't get credit for those.
Yeah.
But that's even more of a reason why he should get the credit he deserves. I can count probably 10 to 12 returns he had where he returned it inside the 10 and got tackled too.
Yeah.
So, shoestrings away from having 10 more touchdowns. I don't think people realize just how dangerous, it beyond, because everybody talks about the Super Bowl touchdown. Everybody talks about the Rams game or the Monday Night Miracle. But I don't think people realize the totality of it until you really look at, the stats almost don't even do it justice. You had to really follow it when it was happening.
And you guys did a video for CHGO where you walked around and you asked people, what is your favorite Devin Hester moment? I did it. Go check out that video. Spoiler alert, it's not the Super Bowl one. But I've told great stories about the Super Bowl one, so I wanted to tell a different one that I told with you guys. I will let that be your property.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to see.
It's one thing for Bears fans to be able to do that. Hey, you know what? We grew up with this team. We loved it. What about, was it odd when you would talk to, NFL players? You talked to Tyreek Hill. What was Tyreek Hill's answer?
Yeah. Right away. He was ready to leave, and as soon as I brought up Devin Hester, his eyes lit up and wanted to talk about it. Yeah. He's like, Devin Hester's my guy. And he started talking about the Monday night game against the Rams. And, it just goes to show you how much that stuff resonated with them. And then I asked Tyreek who was faster. He wasn't willing to give up the title there.
He was fast running away from that question.
Yeah. He was like, what kind of question is that? So that was a funny response. But yeah, you just see he's your favorite player's favorite player.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that players when he was returning kicks, the other team would come to the sidelines and watch him. It was an event. It was a get your popcorn ready.
It was
an event. And you had the other team excited to see what he would do next. He was that unique.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that. Even Hester himself, I know Jared Payton posted a clip of when he was doing an interview. People would usually kick off, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Probably nothing's going to happen. But when he was doing it, he was talking about guys would wet their pants because they were under the, it's probably a real thing.
You're 100% right. He changed how people watched football. When it was 4th and 13, it was time to hit the bathroom or go to the fridge and get your beer, or if you're at the stadium, go to the concession. But Devin Hester changed that. You did not leave your seat for special teams because of him.
Yeah, I would even equate it to, over the last couple of years, living in Southern California and going and seeing Ohtani play. You would never leave during an Ohtani at bat.
Right.
Or Mike Trout, they both back to back. So you would be in that thing I'm not going now. I taught my daughter that, it's one of those things hey, she's like, hey, let's go get yogurt right now. I'm like, hold on. Ohtani and Trout are up the next inning. She's like, okay, we'll stay. Devin Hester was the same way football-wise. And you don't get that a lot because you don't know who's getting the ball. But when you knew that something special teams was going to happen,
right,
you're like, we're in the mix. We're going to sit here and we're going to watch it. And it's great. I'm glad we can finally put to bed that argument too. Like I was getting exhausted by it.
Yeah. No, I mean the other aspect of it too is like, I talk about the Gretzky comparison. The other comparison I make to it is it's like a Jordan game-winning shot. When it was the timeout huddle, they're coming out of commercial break. The Bulls call timeout. They're down 1.
Yeah.
The other team knew Michael was taking the shot, and they knew he was going to beat him. And with Devin, like it's not like a play on offense where you don't know if they're going to run, pass, play action, or whatever. You don't know he's getting.
You could
the
go
ball.
out on the field. You don't know what Justin Fields is going to do at any given moment.
You knew Devin Hester was getting the ball, so but yet he did it anyway. Yeah. You did everything to stop what you knew was about to happen, and he did it anyway. It's not 11-on-1, but it essentially is in a lot of ways. But I think the Bears really showed with guys like Peanut Tillman, Hunter Hillemeyer.
Yeah.
I mean, remember on the field goal block return, they had starters on the team. We were just talking to Charles Tillman about this. They had starters on the team that wanted to play special teams their whole career to block for Devin Hester. I mean, Brendan Iambadejo, he was somebody that, like, if you go back and watch those first 12, 13 touchdowns, he was the catalyst to spring him open so many times. So, like, those little working parts and the way they all flowed together, the way they all kind of got geared up for each other, it's something that I will always, hold special for me as a Bears fan. And anybody that didn't get to see it, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, and it's good. And again, finally able to put that to rest and put that to bed. I know that we'll start talking about Peanut Tillman and Lance Briggs years from now, but I think for right now, I think Bears fans can be like, we're satisfied. We got in 2 guys. Some people will say 3 because of Julius Peppers. I'm very dismissive of what Julius Peppers. I know he's probably a good, but he's such a Panther, and he went to the Packers, which to me is still the most unforgivable offense. Yeah. But you love him. And by the way, didn't you say, I don't know if I want to blow you up, but Brian Urlacher was very excited that Peppers was getting it.
Yeah, for sure. Julius, for me, like, okay, one of the best trades the Bears ever made, or free agent signing, I should say.
Yeah.
That Lovie Smith got on the plane and picked him up and brought him here. I mean, that was one of the biggest free agent signings ever. And I thought he lived up to it. I mean, everybody.
He really did. I was actually upset when he left.
Yep.
Just that he was leaving and not to where he was going. And then where he was ended up, you're like, well, that's
right. I mean, in that regard, Devin was kind of sniffing around Green Bay before the Atlanta Falcons signed him, and that was terrifying in that regard. So I get it. But Julius, I guess, was a little
Hester.
different.
I kind of felt like more justified. Like just pay him.
Right.
Just let him end his career.
Yeah.
I'd rather. Hester was kind of the player where, like, I would have rather have held on to him too long. Like, I don't like thinking about him in Atlanta.
No, it was and to watch him break the record there, it was awkward. But with Julius, it's exciting to see him in. I mean, another guy that played special teams, blocked a bunch of kicks for the Bears. To me, going to training camp, being up close to these guys, Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Peanut Tillman, Mike Brown, the list goes on and on. Alex Brown, Adewale Agunlea, Tommy Harris, just the monsters of the mid-2000s with Lovie Smith and that defense. But I'll tell you what, Julius Peppers was the most imposing person I ever stood in front. When I've never shook someone's hand that was so big. Julius, like, as a bricklayer, you know that his hand is a brick, dude. Like, it swallowed my hand.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw David Njoku earlier, and it's very similar. Right? It's just like you're enveloped, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a small human being. I mean, my arms look like Olive Garden breadsticks, but at the same time, like for a human being to be able to just swallow you up like you're a toddler.
Yep.
You're like, he was an amazing.
The other thing
player.
I'll say too is, I used to be a big autograph hunter at training camp, run around and get an autograph. And I'd always pick like one jersey a year and wanted to get that player's autograph. And so I always appreciated the players that really, like, you get, somebody will just scribble something, but then the ones that really, like, took their time. And no judgment to the ones that don't want to take autographs. But for Julius, no one ever gave a nicer autograph to me than Julius Peppers.
Yeah.
He made sure I stretched the jersey out nice, and he like really took his time in the penmanship. Like, and just for me as someone that like will always appreciate something like that, and cherish those kind of memories and memorabilia to show off in my room, my man cave and stuff, like, to see him do that and take the time for a fan that meant a lot to me at the time.
That's an Arnold Palmer thing too. It's always like, make sure your signature is legible.
Yeah.
And I always, when we're signing autographs around here, I really want to like follow that mind. That always, I'm with you like that. I don't necessarily want autographs, but seeing how people react to stuff like that actually is like, okay, that's a good person.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's tough. Like, you get it too, because like we get stopped. We'll be walking around here, people will stop us and do all that stuff. But and it's just wild. But in any event, so it's good to have those guys in.
Yep.
What else is going on? So what's the rest of your week looking at? We're looking at Friday. You guys are taking off on Friday. So
yeah, we got one more day. I mean, it's Thursday.
Was this your first time here?
First time ever doing Super Bowl media. I mean, it's been it's an unbelievable experience for me. Like I was saying a minute ago, anybody that doesn't know my story, I was a bricklayer for 20 years and gave that up to become full-time in this last summer. And to be able to come here and kind of rub elbows with some of the people that I've looked up to for a long time, players and media alike, it's been a really cool experience, and I'm hungry to keep getting better and try to meet different people, and networking is so important in this industry. I'm not short of words, so I have no problem walking up to people and introducing myself. So there's a bit of a natural fit to some of this, but at the same time, I still take a step back at times and have to pitch myself. Last night we're out to dinner with Brian Baldinger. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then, like,
Baldy's a great hang, by the way.
Dude, he's a great hang.
Every time I'm with Baldinger, something nutty is going to happen.
Yeah, and he's got the best one-liners, football one-liners and stories. Like, he can go all night, and it's just like everybody else. Like, it's just so much fun. So, like, for me, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to be here, and everybody that helped me get me here, including our guy, Draft Dr. Phil. If he found out that I didn't give him a shout out for helping me get to this point, obviously my family helped me get here, but certainly he was a big part of it as well.
Well, we appreciate it. I know every time that you come on to the show, it pops, so we always love having you on.
I got my present for you.
Oh, look at this.
Got my present for you. I appreciate you and the friendship we've started. So here is
there it is.
Walter Payton 8-bit.
Yeah, jumping over the Detroit Lions, which I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's great. Hey, thanks so much for this. It's a big night for Bears fans. Come here for the real thing.
Let's go. Bring it in.
Love you, brother. By the way, check us out. We were on CHGO tonight, too. So check that out as well. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And congratulations to Devin Hester, Steve Mongo, McMichael, Julius Peppers, and everybody else. Patrick Willis, too, because I was really happy for him.
Yep.
Appreciate you. And why don't we go ahead and just close it out.